Hello, and welcome back to the Volume Vegan Cooking Channel. Thanksgiving in the U.S. is around the corner, and holiday eating can get complicated. I mentioned in my introduction video that in my family, as I'm sure it is in many of yours, Thanksgiving is a very big eating holiday. Even if we kept under 15 people at our gatherings, we were still likely to have 4 to 6 desserts for people to pick from, leading several family members to treat dessert time as a second plate of food time and taking a piece of each dessert. That's a very easy way to pack on extra pounds, not just extra calories during the holiday week. Especially as most of us hope to have several days of leftovers following Thanksgiving dinner. Becoming vegan changed our holiday eating a lot. In the beginning, my family didn't understand how to make dishes that they loved, friendly to share among everyone, so I would bring my little family's entire dinner with us to my mother's Thanksgiving meal. Now, over the years, my extended family would try my dishes, my entree, my desserts, and before I knew it, my mom started to make her mashed potatoes vegan or her casseroles vegan where she could by substituting butters and milk, just small changes. And that was great because I had less food to make and bring with me. One of my family traditions that really says holiday season for me is banana pudding. My grandmother always made the most absolutely decadent banana pudding, full of classic Nilla wafers and boxed pudding mix, but she also made the most perfect homemade meringue built to perfection, baked and browned on top. Back before I became vegan and while she was still with us, she showed me many times how to make her meringue, and I never got it right. But her banana pudding, just banana pudding in general, is something that I've experimented with a lot over the years to make a recipe that I liked as much, that is vegan, and this year, gluten-free and as low-calorie as I can make it. So, let's get out a blender, a rolling pin, and let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to make is the pudding element. And these are some of the ingredients that I'm using. I'm just going to use a tofu. Any tofu will do, silken, firm, it's fine. This is going to be blended down and obliterated, so it doesn't really matter what kind of tofu that you get. You don't even really need to worry about pressing the water out of it. Just drain it, drip it, get it out, and then it's fine. Throw it in the blender. We're going to use bananas, of course. I'm using a full-fat coconut cream, vanilla extract, and a zero sugar maple syrup substitute. Before we get started on that, I am going to mix up a little bit of starch in with some water. We're going to use that in a few moments after we've blended our ingredients down, but we're going to go ahead and measure out 2 tablespoons of your favorite starch. You can use cornstarch, potato starch. I use tapioca starch. That's kind of my go-to thickener. So I'm using tapioca starch. I'm just going to put in 2 tablespoons and then do about an equal amount of water here. Mix it up with a fork. That's how I'm doing it. And I'm just going to set it to the side. Occasionally when you do a little starch and water mixture, come back to it once in a while, give it another stir because it does tend to kind of solidify actually on the bottom of the dish, which is not what you want it to do. Now, I've just broken up my tofu into large chunks and I have added it to my blender. And I am following that up by just chunking up, just pulled it apart in, bite-sized pieces and added it to the blender. 3 whole bananas, 3 fresh bananas. And now I am going to add 2 tablespoons of the zero sugar, keto-friendly maple syrup that I found. And next, I am going to add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I actually had just shy of that, and I was a little disappointed that I didn't have quite 2 teaspoons, but if I had, then I definitely would have used 2 full teaspoons of vanilla. And now I'm going to add in a 1/4 cup of that coconut cream. And what you'll find, a lot of recipes are going to ask you to take coconut milk or coconut cream, put it in the refrigerator in the can so that you kind of solidify it a little bit more. And in a lot of recipes, that's necessary. Coconut cream tends to be more solid in the can than just coconut milk anyway, but I definitely don't need it to be solid here. I'm going to blend it. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to blend it down. We're going to blend all of those ingredients. It should move relatively easily in your machine as it's just a lot of softness and liquid in here. So it should be pretty easy to just blend it all down without much help. Once you've got that mixture blended down, just go ahead and add in your starch mixture to the blender and then blend it again so that it's evenly dispersed. And what I do is I just put my pitcher right into the refrigerator so that it can be in a cool environment while I'm working on the rest of my dish. So one tip that I have for anyone who is trying to keep a little bit more control over how many calories they're putting in or what kind of foods that they're putting in their body, something that my family started doing a few years ago was instead of having like a birthday cake, for example, on our birthday, we would, I don't know what you have available in your city. For a while, we don't have it anymore. We actually lost it during the pandemic. We had a place called Cinnaholic, and it's a plant-based cinnamon bun eatery, and you put, it's like one of those places, like build your own burrito or whatever. You're just telling them out of the ingredients that they have what you want on your toppings, right? And that is a very high calorie treat, but we didn't have it just for like no reason. That was where we went if it was a birthday. Then we had a cinnamon bun. Or if it was something that we wanted to really celebrate, but we wanted to have a sweet treat, cinnamon bun. End of the school year, cinnamon bun. You know what I mean? And that treat was completely satisfying and delicious and decadent, but we didn't have a whole cake or a whole bunch of cupcakes sitting in our house waiting for us to eat the leftovers, which will definitely happen, So I try to avoid having a whole dessert sitting in my house. That's one thing that I do try to do. When it comes to this recipe, yes, it's of course we're using a sugar substitute. Bananas are a high sugar, or one of the higher sugar fruits. It's not a low carb fruit. Okay, so keep that in mind. And on top of that, we are not using a sugar-free cookie. I showed you in my grocery haul from last week the brand of the vanilla wafers that I am using today. They're called Home Free. I think my son recycled the box. He opened it up. He was like, I have to taste test these. Put them in a sandwich bag. And I don't know where the box is, but they are not sugar-free cookies. You know what I mean? So one of the key tricks I have to cooking in a way that's just a little bit more calorie responsible is to factor in things like this. The bananas are very, very sweet, naturally, right? We're using cookies in this recipe, sugar right there. And on top of that, I'm using a vegan whipped cream. All of these things have sugar in them already. So that's why I think it's important to use a zero sugar sweetener if you're adding any more. Or if, you know, not even this recipe, but just think about all of your recipes. You've put oil in this, you've put oil in this, you don't need to have oil in that. Or you've put salt in this, or this ingredient has a lot of salt in it. Okay, you don't need to salt this. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of just, that's a way to get away with not having too much. So, what I'm doing to continue to make this dessert a little bit more, I don't want to say healthy, but a little bit less calorific. So my grandmother used to take these Nilla wafers. She completely lined her dish with cookies, whole cookies. And then she would layer her dessert, and part of those layers would be a whole layer of cookies, right? Just a few layers of cookies. She would top it with the cookies, cookies throughout this entire thing. So I don't want to make cookies throughout my entire thing. That's not what I'm trying to do. So what I am going to do is I'm going to start layering it from the bottom. I'm using individual dishes. You can use parfait glasses, something to kind of make it pretty, but it's an individual serving. And so instead of me having a giant casserole dish full of pudding for me to get as much of as I want, I'm individually sizing these. You're going to see me make 2 in front of you. I'm making 4 total. That's what this recipe is making. But anyway, I am going to layer it like this. We're going to do a layer of cookie crumbs. And then I'm going to really pile some pudding in there. A good inch or so or more of pudding in this dish. Because the pudding filling is the lowest calorie, the lowest sugar part of this whole dish, right? It's got zero sugar in it besides the bananas that we blended up in it. So we want to use more of this. This is the volume part of this dessert. So we're going to pile in some pudding, and then we're going to do another layer. Just sprinkle in some cookies, a few banana slices, then pile on more pudding layer. More pudding layer. Make that the star of the show. Then we get to the top, and I just do another layer of the cookie crumbs. And now I'm going to put it in the refrigerator and leave it, because even when I was young, one of the things about my grandmother's banana pudding is she would make it, and then it was better. It was almost better the next day, than it was the day of at all, because the cookies would get soft and absorb flavor, and everything would kind of meld together. So I think I left my desserts in this time for around 3 hours. And you're going to see in that time that your pudding mixture is definitely going to get thicker from having sat with that starch in it that we put in as that last step. And then right before I serve it, I'm going to get out that True Whip that I showed you, my vegan whipped cream that I got. I'm just going to do a few tablespoons of that on the top, and we've got it. Here it is. We have what I promise you is a delicious, satisfying banana pudding experience without all of the calories, without all of the sugar and the fat and all of the, traditional things that make this such a calorie-heavy monster of a dessert. It's really, really good. Pre-portion this out and you've got control. And it's the perfect solution. Make a pact with yourself that you're going to have things that you love during this holiday eating experience, but you're going to have them on your terms. You're going to have maybe 1 dessert instead of 4. And the one that you make, you're going to choose, to portion it out so that you have control over how much you eat after your dinner. And you've really controlled how much sugar that you've put into this. You've controlled that you know what ingredients are in it. It's simple. It's as clean as it can possibly be. And you're going to really enjoy yourself without feeling too guilty about what you're putting away this Thanksgiving. Now, I have a lot more Thanksgiving things that I'm going to show you in the next few days. I know that I've seen a lot of other people posting their Thanksgiving stuff, so maybe I'm a little bit behind. I want you to know it is definitely coming. I can't wait to share with you what I'm making for an entree as well as my sides this year. And I also want to let you know that I completely know how to make a vegan meringue out of the chickpea brine. I've done this recipe. It does work. It's fantastic. It browns. It's beautiful. However, I just don't have that much time this year. I'm working a lot, and I promise you that I will show you how to make meringue. Maybe I'll make some meringue cookies with you guys out of the garbanzo bean brine. It really blows your mind. Like you hear that you can do it, and then you actually do it, and you're like, oh my gosh, amazing. If you haven't heard about that trick, do know that vegans can also make meringue. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, as always, for checking out another one of my cooking videos. I hope you really liked it. If you're going to make this recipe, if you have made this recipe, please let me know in the comments. If you're not, tell me what your favorite vegan Thanksgiving dessert is in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Or if you have your own tricks for like a low sugar banana pudding experience. I love all of that. I love to learn. If you think that any of your friends, if they're big banana pudding fans and they could use a little bit of advice on how to make it a little less sugary this holiday season, send them the link, share it with them. Definitely give me a like down below and subscribe while you're here. Turn on those notifications so that you never miss another one of my recipe videos. Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope you guys eat so amazingly this Thanksgiving. Look out for those videos coming later this week. And until next time, take care, eat well, bye-bye.